but there is like an illusion that this is kind of a rigged operation for people. Why would it be for the Dallas Mavericks in your eyes? And why do you think the Dallas Mavericks, why do you think people think the Dallas Mavericks got this? Just because Nico traded away Luka for the good of the NBA? Is that kind of what the conspiracy is?
Yeah, I don't believe any of that. I think, they had the 1.8% chance. It's happened before several times. So, I know what people may think and the conspiracy things, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, Cooper Flagg, guaranteed number 1 overall pick is kind of what everybody's saying. How do you view him as an NBA prospect? And what are your thoughts on people saying maybe the Mavs trade this number 1 overall pick to get another megastar?
No, I think there'll be no trade. I think the Mavs take him, and I think it's the right thing for the kid. Look, obviously there's been some teams there that would have loved to have him, but I think when you look at Cooper Flagg, look at where he's at today, his ability to develop next to guys like AD and Lively, and also playing with the Kyrie once he's back, I think it helps him. Oftentimes guys go number 1, and we put so much expectation on these young players, and that's not really realistic. And so this allows him to develop on a real timeline. He gets to play through mistakes without all the pressure being on him to throw the ball and expect him to get 25, 30 points a game. That's not realistic, especially equating to wins. And so I think this would be a great environment for him. Not saying that if he went to Utah, if he went to San Antonio, it wouldn't. And I know you think number 1, you think the guy right away, but it's okay to develop into the guy. Like, there's nothing wrong with developing into the guy. So I think this will be a good fit for him.
Dallas was in the play-in game, which I think is why everybody's so mad. It's like this team was good. They got a lot of great pieces. They were obviously injured for a large portion of the back half of the season post the Luka trade. What could they possibly be, especially with Cooper Flagg coming in? For us, we don't really know the ins and outs of the salary. So, like, a rookie deal is obviously much more feasible than a veteran deal. So whenever you can get a rookie contract into your room, especially at a key position like quarterback or something in the NFL, you want to do that. In the NBA, Cooper Flagg's deal a massive benefit for them in how they can shift the salary cap, or is everybody getting paid a shit ton of money, especially the number 1 overall pick?
Well, it's not just the contract; it's the production from a play perspective as well. So that's why he won't be traded, because trading, you hope to have a player at his level being paid what he's being paid, although that number 1 money is a lot different than the supermax player's money. And so if you can get the production level high and the pay potentially lower than what it normally would be if you had to have a supermax guy come in, that's really helpful to the team and their flexibility moving forward and things of that nature. And so once you start getting to the first apron and the second, it just makes things too difficult. So this is why, to me, as well as just who Hooper could become, I think you keep the pick. I think Dallas will keep the pick. And I think it'll work well for both sides.
Excited to watch Cooper Flagg develop. In football, we say, if you go to a good situation, you already got a massive head start. Cooper Flagg going to a team that could have made the playoffs, especially if they were healthy. Massive head start for his career. Good luck down in Dallas, and congrats to the Mavericks fans, man.
Yeah.
Congrats. That was a tough run. And congrats to your guy, Nico, too. You said good things happen to good people. A lot of people weren't saying that about Nico just a few months ago, and then now all of a sudden back on top of the world. You mentioned the San Antonio Spurs. AP Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, you did, Rich, and a lot of people think they got the number 2 pick now, so that gives them a ton of ammo to potentially go make a big move. Obviously, they have the last 2 rookies of the year in Wemby and Castle. They trade for De'Aaron Fox. Do you think with that number 2 overall pick, they could use that to go get someone big, or do they just keep loading up on young stars for the future?
Yeah, I mean, look, they could package 2 and 14 and go and get something. They could draft 2 and do something with 14. They have a lot of options here. But again, what do they need? I think they're the type of team that we've seen draft need. They hit it pretty well over the years with Castle and obviously Wemby, even guys like Devin Vassell, and they have young guys like Keldon Johnson. So they have a good young core, and then when you add like a De'Aaron to that, again, it's San Antonio, so it wouldn't surprise me. They're going to be very strategic about it. They're going to be patient about it. And when they do things, they do it with intent and purpose. And so I imagine that they look at this draft and try to look at age, timeline, production, the ability to develop and make the best choice for the organization going forward. They're going to make a long-term choice for sure.
There are so many storylines at the top there. Like if the Sixers get the number 1 overall pick, everybody would say it was rigged for the Sixers. If San Antonio Spurs would have got it, everybody would have said it was rigged for the San Antonio Spurs for Wemby and Cooper Flag. I mean, if the Utah Jazz would have got it, there's no storylines. It's just Utah Jazz sucked last year,
exactly.
And they kind of got it. So I think we could have made conspiracies out of everything. The fact that 1.8% got it and they were a play-in team, wild to think about the possibilities. Good luck to all the teams finding what their potential home is. Now, with that being said, Giannis is a massive piece of this. That is why people were thinking the Dallas Mavericks maybe trade that number 1 pick, get Giannis in there. And if you have Giannis, AD, Kyrie, Clay, what type of team do you have in Dallas all of a sudden? It's an expensive one, but let's talk about the Giannis situation. Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Rich, with all that happening, where do you think the most likely landing spot is for Giannis now? The sportsbooks still have Milwaukee as the favorite, but it's come out that he'd be interested in playing in a no income tax state. I think that's why a lot of people maybe made connections, with the Mavericks. But considering everything that happened last night and kind of what we've heard so far, what do you think the most likely landing spot for Giannis is?
That's a good question. Look, I think he's definitely, if what's being reported is true, he's opened the door for Milwaukee to look at things. I think you have to partner with Giannis, given the fact that he did win a championship there and he signed an extension. So part of that would be, hey, to get me somewhere where I want to go. The likely spots, I mean, look, it depends, right? If you're Giannis, he's 30. He has 3 years left on his deal with a player option at 62.8. He already won a championship. And so do you want to go to a team in which you can now build something that's tailor-made around you? I imagine he wants to stay east. And then, it depends on what timeline he's on, the type of patience that he has. And in that case, then you can look at him staying right there in Milwaukee if he has the patience to allow them to kind of regroup or readjust here. So, look, targets, I don't like to play fantasy basketball, guys, but, there's several teams out there that he could be traded to with assets that can come back. I think he would work with the Bucks to try to help them at least get some talent back. But then that team also has to have enough to move forward on a 2-year timeline, I imagine, to be really competitive. And so you look at teams like the Nets. Obviously, they have the picks from Phoenix in the trade. Phoenix and also the Knicks. You look at Toronto, who has young assets, big market. He would be huge there, obviously. And you have to believe in guys like Masai and Bobby Webster. And then there's teams, what do you do? I know there's San Antonio. I know there's Houston. But I don't know. From San Antonio's perspective, age-wise and roster-wise, does it make sense? Maybe, maybe not. I know people think Dallas. I just don't think they can do it. And so it's not as easy as people think. When you have big names, you think, they could just go anywhere and anything could be done. There's a lot of complications to these things. And so we'll see how it unfolds. It's exciting for the league, though. And I the one thing I will say is Giannis has done all he's been asked to do. And so if he wants to leave, great. And I think the Bucks have done right by him. And so I don't think anyone would be at fault. It's just business.
Yeah, it just didn't work out, right? It just didn't work out. And maybe a new home, a nice, fresh beginning. Maybe the Bucks are able to get some assets. I love the fact you said I don't want to play fantasy basketball because that's what we just assume you do behind the scenes. Yeah, we assume you're just doing fantasy basketball all the time. Let's talk about current basketball taking place, the playoffs, obviously. D-Bud has a question for you, Rich.
Yes, sir. We're just talking about Giannis. The last two MVP finalists, Joker and SGA, haven't really been playing their best basketball the last few games, but big game five in OKC tonight. Which team do you see bouncing back, and also which superstar do you see bouncing back and kind of getting back to form?
Oh, man, this is a big game. Normally the guys who win game 5 win the whole series, they say. That's what statistics show. I imagine OKC's at home. Ooh, this is a tough one. I do think SGA and Jokic play better than they have played in the series. But this is why you have great teams. You have great depth. And I think their teammates have lifted them up. You've seen guys like Aaron Gordon make big plays. Russ has made big plays on both ends of the floor. And then you see guys who hadn't played all series, like a Wiggins, come in and make big shots. And, Caruso's, he does what he does best. As you know, he's just affects the game in so many different ways that may not show up in the stat sheet. And so, I don't know. It's tough to tell who wins tonight, but I do think the stars come out to play, and it's been a great playoffs.
Yeah, I think it has been a great playoffs. And you talk about the teams and the depth, not just the superstars playing their best. Can we chit-chat about LeBron saying on Mind the Game about how there's 8 other guys on the court and everybody attacking him for that? What do you think he meant by that? And how much is it such a team basketball thing whenever it gets to this stage of the playoffs? Because I think a couple stars can carry you through the regular season. Mm-hmm. I think a couple stars can win you a lot of games. But when you get to the playoffs, every team has guys. Every team has stars. Every team has depth. What do you think about what LeBron said and the reaction that came from what he said?
Well, I think anytime LeBron says something, it's always going to go viral. But it's always been a team thing. It's never been an individual thing. And if you look at the teams that's won championships, those have been really great teams. You can't look at a team that has won and say, oh, they had one great player, and so he led them and they won the game or they won the series. That's always been very misleading, and it goes back to any of the GOAT conversations you want to have. You got to compare the GOAT with their teams and also their front offices that help make the decisions to put the players around them. And so I think, LeBron's going to always be criticized, whatever he says. People are going to look at it a certain way. But I think he's right. I think, and people say, well, I'm just being biased, obviously, because that's my brother. But it's just, when you know basketball, you understand that you have to be able to go 8-9 deep. You have to be able to have flexibility and be able to change in terms of matchups. Like you look at this Cavs-Pacers series. I imagine, I'm looking at it, the Pacers have been benefiting from the Cavs not going small. I would start Evan at the 5 and bring Hunter at the 4. That way you can be able to match with the Pacers and that speed of the game. And that way Jared Allen's not Xing out, trying to close out on guys like Siakam. They're getting off to great starts because, again, it's very hard to defend that pace. But if you can match that pace by adjusting the game plan a little bit and starting Evan at the 5 and putting DeAndre Hunter at the 4, now that gives you another guy on the floor, a spacer, and then a guy that can defend. And so it may slow them down in their fast start. That could change the series. I mean, it happened with Iguodala when the Warriors, decided to go small with him and move David Lee to the bench that series. And so you have to be a professional in these times to understand that things may change. And so that goes to having depth. You can't do that with just 2 stars. Everyone was so gung-ho about Luka and LeBron. I wasn't. I never thought that would just mean that they're going to win the championship. Names don't win the championship. Rosters do.
Would have been cool, though.
Would have been very cool.
Would have been very cool. And I do appreciate that you're still an Ohio guy. Let's not be giving any tips to the Cavaliers, okay? let's not be giving any tips.
But listen, I love Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle's a hell of a coach. He's been a hell of a coach everywhere he went. So it doesn't surprise me, the chess match in that series. And that series, obviously, last game was just a blowout. But when you think about it, all these series are closer than you realize. Losing Steph, the Warriors just can't. It's just hard. You can't plug somebody in to replace Steph Curry. That does not happen. Can't plug 3 people in to replace Steph Curry. So certain things you're not going to be able to get around. But even in the Knicks-Boston series, you've seen the stat. Boston, the Knicks has only led 24 minutes in the entire series. They're up 3-1. 24 minutes, they've led, 24 minutes and 55 seconds to be exact. They've led in the entire series, and they're up 3-1. That's not stars. You get what I'm saying? And so if you understand our game and you really live this, you understand the importance. And people will say that, well, the Knicks don't have any depth. They built that roster to compete against the team they're competing against. And so, I love the game. So I watch all these games intensely, but it's great. It's great for the league. I'm excited.
Hey, what is the Knicks' name? What is their full?
New York.
The New York. What is the name of that basketball team?
Knicks.
No, there's a bigger name.
Like the
Well,
old name?
What,
the old name, we know what the old name is.
what is it?
Well, you guys aren't seeming to say it, so I'm not going to say it.
I think you're okay to say it. From what my understanding of the, I don't think I should be saying it.
Yeah,
I don't think I should be.
Well,
Connor should not
I'm
be
a
saying
little
it.
I'm a little lost on the history there, but
Well,
if you say I can say it, then that insinuates something totally different. So,
yep. Yeah, I think you're starting to get it.
I'm at the draft combine, so let me ask the history. I mean, someone has to know it here.
No, the history is just last night.
Yeah.
A white said the name, and boy, you say it quickly. I think a lot of people go, "What? Whoa, 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 what was that?"
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. I'm going to miss that too with my mouth for the rest of my life. That's what I learned last night. That is the New York Knicks.
Yep.
New York
Right.
Knicks. That is their name, full name, and that's how it should be said.
Good name.
Great name.
Yeah.
What's it come from though? Like Knicks? I don't think I fully
Nick, I
understand.
mean, like I said, I've been here since '86. It's been the Knicks my whole run.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
How about Bruce? Bruce, what's the name? Bruce, what's the name of the New York Knicks? How did we get to Knicks?
The Knicks are named after the Knickerbocker Club in New York, which is like
Jeez.
the Dutch settlers from like gangs of New York times, basically.
Okay. See what just happened there, Rich? A little close there. I think he was a little bit too confident. I don't think that should have came out of his mouth right there. See, that's a little difference.
Yeah, that's a little strong.
Connor has a question for you, Rich.
Yeah, I need to spread that news, Rich. But with everything you just said, one of the teams, that I guess was playing with just two stars that never got it done would be the Suns, where Kevin Durant is, and that's kind of exactly what the problem with those teams were, was they didn't have any depth, so that when they got to the playoffs, they kind of completely collapsed. And KD is one of those players this offseason with Giannis that is at that level of one of those stars, maybe a little older, but still at a supreme star level that's also on the block. How do you see that going with Phoenix? Because obviously it feels as though that conversation has been going on for a pretty long time with Ishbia and KD in the front office, where KD and them have kind of agreed that they will work together to get KD to a specific place. Do you think Giannis is kind of available for a place like that, and KD with Milwaukee? And then for you personally, on the agent side of things, when does this really start heating up? We know the draft is pretty soon after the finals are over, but when for agents is it heating up? Is it now? Like, do you think Giannis's agent is making calls now, figuring stuff out with certain teams? Is it till after the season, or when is that going to happen with Giannis and some of the teams? And then what about Kevin Durant and the Suns?
Well, I think the Kevin Durant Giannis piece is definitely a no-go. That doesn't work the timeline for the Bucks, and obviously Phoenix will love that. But I think Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, so we don't have to spend too much time there. We know who he is and what he brings to the table. It's just about cohesiveness, and sometimes you get to a place where you just don't have that balance amongst rosters. I think I talked about it, and everyone kind of went in the uproar when I talked about the Miami Heat and what people thought was a big three and what I didn't think was a big three. That wasn't a knock to Chris Bosh. That was actually tipping my hat and the respect to Chris Bosh because of the sacrifice that he had to make to have cohesiveness to win championships. And so in Giannis's case, though, from an agent perspective, yeah, I think you sit down with your client and really have the hard conversation with them. But you got to understand, guys, most athletes don't like to be the bad guy. They don't like to make these type of decisions, and they don't like the fallout that comes behind it. And so it's not as easy as people think because no one wants to get the blame. I'm a very straightforward, very matter-of-fact guy. So if it's time to go, it's time to go. And you don't have to be necessarily apologize about it. It's business. We've done great business, and it's time to move forward. And how can we help each other? It's a conversation that needs to be had. Everyone does their job differently, definitely different than me. I know that for a fact. So it's just one of those things. But I imagine Giannis has said what he really feels, and I think there's a world where you do this with the team that he's currently on and show that respect if that's what he really wants to do. And then the work starts now. Yeah, we're at the NBA Combine, so everyone's here. all the every team is here, and decision makers are here for the most part, except for the teams that are currently playing. And so it's a lot that can be done and can be talked about. And so these things take time, though. It's not as easy as people think. It could be something that draft day, could be later on, but just depends. Just depends.
Hey, so you're at Draft Combine. I think Shams is there, and he mentioned the same thing yesterday about how all the decision makers are there. Shout out to Shams, by the way. Shout out to Shams.
Just saw Shams, the hardest working man in the business.
In your business, I like that. I respect that. In the basketball world, I think that could be.
In the basketball world.
Yeah, in the basketball world. And he's still so handsome, too. I don't know how he pulls it off. Legitimately. He butchered a Dark Knight quote.
Oh, man.
Yesterday.
Very badly.
Embarrassed his whole family, really. But whenever we talk about what he does from a basketball standpoint, he mentioned that Draft Combine being a big mingle because we have like a tampering period here at the NFL Combine where everybody comes to Indianapolis and all the agents are here and everything like that. I don't want to say that's what you're kind of saying this is right now, but now that the draft lottery is kind of set, now that everything's kind of in order, do we know everybody that wants to be on the move? Like we know KD, we know Giannis potentially, we know the Lakers are looking for a center. At this point, do we kind of know what everybody's looking for? And is that why this is such a good gathering of the minds in Chicago?
Yes and no. I think that, again, the players, we know which players want to be moved, but we don't know which team want to move players. And so that's where I think it's at a disadvantage for players. You know, it's like the dealer only showing one card. But ultimately, yes, this is where, you know, look, you can have certain conversations. It's not tampering. It's just dialogue. And, you know, it's really 20 hours of it. You're in the gyms. You are in the hotel lobbies. You're having the meetings and things of that nature. And so this is where if there's a conversation to be had, this is a great time to have it. You can make the same argument for Summer League. Sometimes you can make the same argument for, you know, Final Four. Sometimes, you know, wherever you can get close to other decision makers, dialogue can be had from a business perspective. So, Combine is always a good place to be.
I love that. I can't wait to hear what comes from it. We appreciate you joining us. I can't wait to see what the internet says. What you said was outrageous today. Every time you come on, something you say just absolutely rose, which is why we appreciate the hell out of your perspective. And thank you for taking time out of your Draft Combine negotiation conversation time to chit-chat with us.
It's always great to come on, guys.
Who's winning it all this year?
You know what? I said it before on the show. There's so much parity. I cannot tell you who's winning it all right now. I see the odds. I'm not a betting man, so that doesn't help me at all. But look, I think it's all about matchups. You know, there's a world where you can see Minnesota get all the way there, and obviously OKC. It's OKC. They've been really good all year. I know what the series are on the Eastern Conference, but I don't think Indiana nor the Knicks think that those things are over till they're actually over. So I don't know. It's just hard to tell. But again, it's an exciting time for our league when you have this type of parity, and anybody could win. And so we see the excitement that's in New York. I mean, they win a game and people are out there till 3 a.m, which is incredible. I think the Garden is the best arena at this time to be in. But we'll see. Whoever goes, I'll be there.
Shaking hands, kissing baby, showing face.
At least for one game, I'll be there. You know, that's been something that I've done, I don't know, for the last umpteen years, and so I look forward to going.
All right, get those nice fresh feet on. Maybe get a couple boards, put up a 3 if you have to. Yeah.
Still got it.
No, I don't run anything, man. I know that's the perception, Pat, but that's not true, man. I just try to do great business. That's all.
Well, kayfabe, because we think you run everything, and we're going to continue to view it that way. We appreciate the hell out of you. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich Paul, thank you, buddy.
Hey, Rich.
I'm on fire. It's 88 over here.